This is Dust War Journals, episode 25, your number one stop for all news and discussion related to Dust 1947. My name is Johannes, and with me today, as always, are...
Ludwig, Ludda, the loony with the loose lips, all for your pleasure. Hi there!
And Magnus is also here, as usual.
As a little aside.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah, of course.
The sidekick.
Oh, no. Stop that.
Well, it's not always the one who sounds most that does the most.
No, definitely. That's why I always try to make some noise and yell about, because people think I do stuff, but it actually has those who listen to it, they know it's you too.
So you are actually the sidekick.
Yeah, of course I am.
Right.
I sit on the side table here when we're recording. You two are opposite each other. I'm just on the side. I just make some noise.
Well, it's your table.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Starting with an argument. No, that was not an argument. That was just a...
No, that was abuse.
Yes. Yes! Okay, sorry.
I think this is going to be a weird episode already. All right, so what have you guys been up to this month, hobby-wise? Has there been any progress?
That's a good question. You want us to get weird from the beginning, and you ask us, has there been any progress? Oh, yes, it has been progress, but not the way... No, sorry. If I can just jump into it then from the get-go, I had a little tournament. You guys were with it, and it was quite nice. We were trying some smaller points.
We're going to talk a bit more about that later in the episode, but yeah, I agree. It was a really, really cool tournament. Very fun.
And, I've done some... I've excavated my hobby room a little bit. You can now enter it without hazard or risk or hazarding or danger of your own life. So perhaps that's a good one.
One step forward.
Yeah. Perhaps you should be able to sit down at the painting table in the near future. I don't know. But otherwise, unfortunately, it's been much with the work for me. So I think I've had a quite quiet month.
Yeah, it's been similar for me. I've also been working on my hobby space and kind of optimizing it. I got a new kind of organizing kit for my painting table, which I hope to show off sometime. It's a kind of MDF modular thing that you glue together yourself, and it fits with magnets, so you can kind of expand it if you want to. It's really cool. It's a Polish company that does it, called Hobby Zone. So if you want to check that out, it's hobbyzone.pl. We're not sponsored in any way. I'm just telling you this because I bought some of their kits and I like them.
Yeah, and me and Magnus have no problem getting sponsored by... What's the address once again, please?
Hobbyzone.pl.
Yes, we are very big fans of hobby... Well, whatever. Come on.
Yeah, actually, we talked about this a little bit, you and me, Johannes, at least. I think it was at the tournament.
Yeah.
Or after the tournament. And those things sounded really awesome. So I'm going to check it out and see, and possibly get some of that stuff as well. For my hobby progress, I did finish some of my British sort of USMC, and I played them in the small tournament, and it was a blast.
Oh, they're so nice.
They did not perform as well as I was hoping, because in one of the games, in the second game, I don't know, my dice just failed me horribly, and then even worse, and then it was basically over. So
that's why I love that army of yours even better, Magnus, because they look super cool and they lose all the time. It's a double whammy for me.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and it could have been better, it could have been worse, but I'm happy. It was nice.
Very cool.
Also, kind of unrelated to Dust, I've been painting some other miniatures as well, some Wild West miniatures, because I have a Wild West board game coming in, and I wanted to have some more models to be able to be used there. So, I've finished a bunch of those, and I hope it's going to be a blast playing that game.
Sounds really, really good.
Yeah, from what you've told us before, I think that sounds like a fantastic game. Can't wait to play it. So let's go talk some news in the Dust world. There's been a few new releases, but most of it has also been some kind of re-releases, basically. First up, it was the Annihilator in the Hellgate pattern. The interesting thing here is it's the first unit available in the Hellgate pattern.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of... at least of how the cultists are going to look in the Hellgate pattern. Much more subdued than the kind of World War One camo that we've seen so far. But it's still the same unit, still the same Annihilator. And we also seen some re-releases of some old bases. So now you can get bases, just flat bases in different sizes, and you can also get the diorama bases with those cracked earth kind of molded in them in various sizes. So that's really cool for people who really want to modify their units and maybe do some other companies' units and put them on dust bases. Stuff like
they
that.
are very nice bases, and it's always nice to have a few extra laying around. You never know when you're going to need them, so this is good.
That's true. But we have one completely new release, and this is one that just sticks out very much to me personally. It's the Cultist Raiders. Paolo showed this off quite a while ago, I think, in some just production from the studio, some promo photos. I don't think many people thought that this was actually going to be a released unit, that this was just something that he built for himself, because he does show that stuff from time to time. But no, they're here. The Cultist Raiders are an actual unit, and they're amazing, at least to me. Basically, these are the Cultist Fire Squad that we've already seen, but in a car.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
It's so beautiful. The whole concept of it, it's just it just makes you want to smile, and also but also you dread it in the same time with the 3-point army cost and the drive-by shooting. I feel. A rich person who stacks up on these could really put the hurt on someone.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. Like you said, they're 3 points apiece, so it's ridiculously cheap. You can run 3 of them for 9 points. But if you go with the tournament rules, if you play casual, you can run as many as you want. But this is not a small vehicle.
No.
So that means that you can only run 3 of them if you're going to run them in a tournament army. So that kind of makes a bit more sense. But okay, if we look at the actual armaments, it's 5 submachine guns, the exact same as the Cultist Fire Squad.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is that we have 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side, and 1 in the rear. So 1 is firing out of the rear window, presumably. And they also had the drive-by shooting, which you mentioned, a new special skill that says the unit can execute an attack action with its weapons on one side only after making a march move. So this makes it a quite fast and versatile unit, but then you only get to shoot with at most 2 machine guns.
Yeah, so it's not like it's going to wreck an army, but the concept of it all is just so wonderful.
Oh yes, I absolutely love the concept. It's so much fun. I'm just in love with this little car, and just we are going to get back to the whole kind of cultist army thing a bit later on. But this is fantastic, and I want to see more stuff like this.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I think this is a nice one. It's super cheap, but still, it can't really do too much with those machine guns, and I mean it's a vehicle too with only 2 health points. As far as I know, this is the weakest vehicle in the game.
Oh yeah, you
Straight
can
up.
You can kill it with a pistol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but the Russian mortar tracked steel rain is type 1 3 wounds. You could argue that is weaker because it's 1,
possibly, but
3,
you know what I'm saying.
Definitely.
This is
sorry, I just had to,
it will break down just by looking at it.
Of course.
So I don't think this is going to be.
It's actually class 2 with 3, the Red Rain.
No, then it's the.
There is one. I think it's the RSO, the Fallschirmjäger. They have
that could be.
They have armor 1 with like 3 health, possibly 4. I can't remember. But this is in that area anyway. It's vehicle 2 with 2 damage points, and that's it will get killed very easily.
The one thing that you might be able to do with it is just distract the other player with as much big monsters as you can, so they don't focus fire on these. Because if you have a lot of tiny little units that don't have much hit points, then maybe your opponent has to split fire and he can't focus on one of these, and they can perhaps survive in that way. There's some tactical possibilities there, but it's not a strong unit by any means.
I think the utility for this unit is to be placed either in front of the cultist of the monsters to kind of shield them. Take one hit,
since they're not small.
Maybe just drive them super quickly, super fast, and put them right in front of that Königsluter or something. So you kind of lock that one down. It has to move, or it has to get rid of the wreck, or just be annoying. Basically, that's what this one do.
That's basically what all the cultist mythos pretty much vehicles do. But this one seems to be exceptional at it.
I just a thought that came to me was that if there were to be perhaps a platoon list for these kind of cultist raiders, or perhaps these and some other vehicle in the same bracket, that could be cool if they had like the ramming of Cthulhu or something, that they could be able to smash into stuff or something, just holy sacrifice or something like that. They can just drive into people or drive into vehicles perhaps and make some sort of...
Yeah, I could see that with the saboteurs that we've seen renders of the guys with the explosives.
Yeah.
They just ran these in a car.
Yes, definitely.
Making a drive-by by throwing dynamite.
Yeah. Why not? Or just they're just so packed with dynamite they just drive right in. Okay, this perhaps is a little bit. It's not the fun game anymore. Now it gets a little bit perhaps too real or something. But why shouldn't the cultist want to sacrifice themselves for the greater God, for their trinkets and toys they will get when they sacrifice themselves? So having one of those saboteurs cultists just with a truck full of dynamite, they drive right into something, that could be. Well, just
that's true.
Sorry.
There's also been an update to the Enlist app with a few new units added, like the Punisher 2 and some other things. And we also seen if I recall correctly, the release for the Red Rain and the Red Fury for the PLA faction was in this update. And also the platoon, it was a bit bugged, though I think it's fixed now, that the units and the platoon unit for the allied paratroopers. So you can use them with the Desert Scorpions. That was the kind of thing there.
Yeah.
So that happened. We also had Paolo made a little kind of preview for us also, and he mentioned that some of the conversion kits that people have been asking for, especially like for the Humber and for some other like the cultist vehicles, they are going to start to be released now, and they're going to start with the Humber, and it's going to be available in October.
Oh, splendid. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Hats off, Paolo. I missed that one. I never thought that would happen, but great news. Great news.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been kind of asking and waiting for this for some time now, and finally happening. Yeah, that's great. I think they will sell a lot of them.
Yeah, that saves my last Cobra. So then I don't have to dismantle that one, and I can still use a Cobra on the battlefield, save it for the last Humber there. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I hope they come with some. Perhaps now, I'm sorry, I'm flipping right now. But so we don't miss that beautiful train that Scott Robinson once again posted on Facebook. I hope some of those conversions also, so one could try to find his part. Sorry, Magnus, you're not on Facebook. That wonderful guy, Scott Robertson, is always producing wonderful things. And back in the day, a few years ago, he made a Russian armored train and converted it with the turrets and stuff like that on it, and it's just an amazing.
Think you showed me that sometime.
Yeah,
I think so. I remember this now when you say it.
And he reposted it for I don't really know why, but I'm just happy he did, and he did it quite recently here on Facebook, and just with the Red Fury and stuff like that he's using, and it, also I think it was the Red Fury that's type 1 and 3 wounds, so I'm not. But I'm not going to tackle on about that. Just please give us conversion kits that makes us try to emulate the wonderful work of Scott Robertson. We will never master it and we will never come close, but just having a possibility of doing it would be immensely great.
Absolutely. And just talking about conversion kits, if they ever do a conversion, I don't think it's going to be soon, since the Raider was just released. But there is, it's based on a Tamiya model kit, so that the car itself, you can get it and you can use it as a proxy, basically, without the cultists inside it. So that's a possibility. So let's go over to mail call. We have some questions from our listeners that we're going to discuss. First off, we have from Michael Montelongo, who asks, now that the Mythos block is getting more cultist vehicles, do you think the block could be played without any support from non-human creatures? Well,
the short answer is yes. Of course.
Of course. Yeah, we think
you can play whatever you want.
Yes, Michael. You don't have to ask permission. No, sorry.
The question is, though, if you want it to be an effective army.
Competitive-like.
That's still, in my opinion, probably a lot more difficult.
And also, is it okay to bring in mercenaries?
Yeah.
Because they are, at this point at least, they are more or less necessary to make a creature-less mythos list work. Because if you don't have any creatures and you don't have any mercenaries, then you don't have anything that can take care of big vehicles.
Yeah, well, you can always have one captured vehicle, and you can always have something that can, because they are like the Ludwig, you have something that can just at least emulate punching a hole into something big. But of course,
but at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, why playing the mythos if you don't want any of the monsters, if you don't want any of those?
That's an easy. Sorry, I'm just cutting you off right there. I would do it any day of it, because I like aesthetically how the big monsters look, but seriously, I will never play them. I'm sorry, but the small little guys with all the machine guns and stuff like that, and the beautiful cars now that's coming out, I could do that, just because I feel that's in the limit of my.
Okay, fair enough.
Please continue.
I guess that's on a personal kind of subjective level.
Yeah,
what you want to do with them. Yeah, but like we said there, it's of course it's possible to play them, but you are going to have difficult time against certain opponents. Yeah, depending on what your opponent will be playing. And in some matchups, it's going to go great.
And depending on the scenario as well. The big. I would say the really big advantage you have with an army like that is pure numbers.
Yeah,
you can just pull in masses and masses of small cultists and small vehicles.
Yeah,
so you can just clog up and just claim objectives. And
I'm thinking an army like that is going to be very similar to a lot of the armies that we are seeing right now from the other blocks. The Soldier 1 heavy with. Not heavy, but with a lot of infantry, kind of heavily leaning towards that infantry spam. You can build such an army with the mythos, of course, and against some opponents, it's gonna be great, and against some others, it's gonna not be great.
No, it's so true. You speak absolutely the truth there. So, take the next one.
Our next question comes from Scott Robertson. I recognize that name. Perhaps a discussion on the pros and cons of open and gridded versions of the game. I'm a Warfare player, but I hope to be at the Warsaw event in 2019 to play the grid version of the game. What makes it so popular in Europe? What's really the difference between especially gridded and gridless Dust 1947 and Dust Warfare? Because for me, I haven't tried Warfare. I would love to do it, especially now that there's a kind of community going and all the newer releases are getting stats for Warfare as well, because it is a very different game.
Yeah, Warfare is very different from other Dusts. The Dust 1947, gridless and gridded, to me they aren't that different actually.
Well, that depends. Now we're getting into, and it's so hard to approach this subject without sounding like a fucking douchebag who's just negative and just thinks everything is shit. So, but that said, what was I trying to say? I don't know. I was just rudely interrupting you again, Magnus. I'm thinking that's my theme of the day.
For me, I mean, we used to play a lot of Warfare back in the days as well.
Yeah,
and I really like that.
It was a good game.
I still think it's a good game.
Yeah,
but it's a lot more of a
defensive game, I would say. It's more about suppressing
sort of
or
reactionary game. If you know what I mean. It's a lot more. I'm not saying that Dust 1947 isn't that also. Of course, you have to see what your opponent do, and you have to adjust and adapt to that. But Dust Warfare to me was even more that kind of game.
Yeah, and since we haven't played Warfare in is it 4 or 5 years now or something like that, it's many years at least, so we don't know how that game has shaped out.
We haven't played the latest updates, latest versions, but I'm guessing that the game as such is more or less the same. They have probably changed some details, updated cards and stuff, but but it's a nice game, but it's a much more classic war game. It was made amongst others by Andy Chambers, who comes from Games Workshop, and he did some of the older 40k stuff, so I got a clear vibe from that. Recognized some details and some thinking, like the flow of the game. For example, if I recall correctly, it's not a alternating activating system.
No.
The Warfare, you activate your whole army, you do your phases and stuff like that, and when your whole army is done, it's your opponent's turn. So it gets a completely different flow of the game.
But it does have some kind of reaction system as well. But you have to prepare your reactions, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you put out tokens depending on how many actions you did, or if you are suppressed and stuff like that. And depending on the status of the unit, it can react or it cannot react. So you have to take a lot of other stuff into consideration there.
So I think that's kind of our homework to actually try and play some Warfare. Maybe not until next episode, but in a few months' time should be possible, I think.
Yeah, we should try it. I haven't really looked at it for a long time now. So.
No, it should be interesting in doing it again. And I love the tabletop gaming. I can't break free from that, moving one model at a time. It's a fun thing, but also it brings with it the possibilities of more rules discussion, more irritation on your opponent. That's why, for me personally, that tactic is such a great, or Dust 1947, I mean, it's such a great way of playing, because it eliminates many of the irritational things that you could start arguing with your
and I would think
partner.
that even if the game time in total is similar, I think that with alternating activations for each unit, it feels quicker because there's not as much downtime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it feels more like we are playing, not you are playing, I'm waiting, I'm playing, you're waiting. It's more of a
that's the old problem with that type, and I mean more and more games are leaving that type of gameplay where I go, you go, you activate your army and then I activate my whole army. More and more games are moving towards alternating activations with just one unit apiece. Because like you say, it feels a lot quicker. There's a lot less downtime until it's your turn again to do something. So you're always kind of there. You can't just, take a break and go and have a coffee and do something else for a while, which you almost can in some of the games. There's a lot of waiting until it's your turn. So that's a pro for me. Definitely, I think it's better. But still, I would love to play Warfare, try it out again. I haven't played it for quite some time.
No.
Going back to the question, so the difference between gridded and gridless, if we are talking just 1947 now. To me, the games are very similar, actually. They feel more or less the same. You get some freedom if you don't use the grids. You can do, like, when you're building terrain, you don't have to take the grids into consideration. You can build, you have some more freedom. But I still prefer the gridded because it eliminates the you don't have to use the tape measure. You never have to argue about, is this unit in range or not? Can I shoot this? And for the most part, definitely line of sight is a lot easier. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult, but you can usually basically count. You can use math to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And if just take that final piece of his question, which is why is gridded so popular in Europe? I think that's the big reason, that it's just simple and it's easy to get into for a lot of people. And of course there's a big kind of market for those people who want a more serious war game, but that's not really what Dust is aimed to at this moment, at least.
And I think that a lot of us, I mean, here in Sweden and in other countries, I'm thinking in particular of Marek in Poland, have been playing the gridded version. So we are kind of introducing the gridded version to new players. So they are also playing the gridded version.
It feeds itself.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of comes naturally that way. If we and Marek have been playing the non-gridded version, I'm guessing the non-gridded version would have been bigger.
Oh yeah, no question whatsoever. I've never encountered anyone in Europe promoting warfare. There have been no interest in growing the community on that side. I have known of a few gaming groups that were playing it, but they were keeping them to themselves. They were happy being 4 or 5 guys playing it, and that was it. I also just have to, because I am who I am, have to just put in the little bracket about if you play with the new extra version of the gridless 1947, it's quite big difference between gridded and, because they get all those extra rules. So if you want to start learning grid, perhaps you should do that first. If you go from Warfare, the first thing you perhaps should play is the gridless with the extra rules that came here with the Condor expansion, because then you will feel more similar, and then you scale it down even more. Perhaps that would be easier, because I think if you go from Warfare directly to Tactics, the thing that you will find is that the rules are scaled down in simplicity size in a way that will make the jump very big for you. I think that's the biggest. Perhaps you like it, and we have liked it, but I think that would be the biggest thing that would feel strange.
It's such a different game when you compare Warfare to Dust 1947. It's completely different. So you just have to go into that with that in mind, that you are you're really not playing the same game. It's a different game. It just happens to kind of look like the same, but it's not. So, but I don't know. For me personally, the gridded version is, I would just say better, basically, because it plays faster. It's easier in a lot of ways. I mean, the measuring and the line of sight stuff. The thing that is maybe a bit more difficult is that you are kind of restricted. You have those grids, both while playing and while building terrain and stuff. But I'm not bothered by that. I think the pros are definitely worth it. Yeah,
I'd like to jump in with one thought extra as well. But I think also why it also has grown in Europe, the gridded one, is that you don't have to have a huge hobby room. You don't have to have a huge gaming community place to go to play, which you usually need if you play. Because I get the feeling that a lot of people that play tactic 1947. Sorry for the slips all the time. It's not intentional. The ones that play 1947 is people who perhaps don't always have the possibility to have a gaming store, a gaming table in their apartment, because they live in towns there. The amount of space you have is limited.
Yeah, that's part of what I mean. It's easier and simpler that way. I mean, we're going to talk a bit more about our last tournament, and we played very small points, and we played very small games, and it's entirely possible, and it works fine. So you can play with very limited space. You can just put it up, even if you have a small apartment or just small table.
Yeah,
and it's fine.
Right. So. Next question comes from Brian Keith Younes. Which blocks, faction, or units only described in the background of Dust, be it from Tactics, 1947, or the RPG, or even all the artwork and concepts would you like to see in the game today? And then he goes on with quite a long example, which we're not going to...
It's wonderful.
But if you want to read it, it's on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I've always wanted to see a tabletop version in kind of the game scale of the Gunther. Mm-hmm. This was one of the old original 1:35 scale models for Dust, which is a kind of small walker really for the Axis, more kind of a armored powered armor more than a walker itself.
Yeah.
And it looks very interesting, and it would be cool to see it being used in the game at some point. So that's one for me.
Yeah, well, I don't know how... I know Paul has talked about a certain Russian little unit or vehicle that I would like to see. I'm not quite sure how much that had been done in the old drawings and stuff like that, but at least since he had talked about it on Facebook at least once, it was the one with the two skis and the propeller, so it was like almost like a walker on skis with a big snow propeller. That one I don't remember what it's called, but I would have loved to see that one, of course. So,
yeah, that one looks pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know, because a lot of the stuff that is coming, that we know is coming now, is stuff that I have been thinking about. Like, when will this arrive? I mean, the Japanese, the Vrills, and a lot of heavy tanks and stuff I've been asking for, and we know that this is coming. So at the moment, I really don't have too much of those wishes for stuff.
That's a nice feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I think the next couple of years is going to be amazing for Dust.
Yeah, it surely does. I got to thinking one more, of course, when because I think about Condor, the Kraken. I want the Kraken. I know it will be hard to store, and I was just on about having not much place to put stuff in your apartment, but the Kraken, yeah. Or a part of it.
In a scale 1 to 1.
Yeah, please.
Then you don't need an apartment.
No, I can play on the Sorry. But that one will really just a playing mat. That could be, or perhaps a box with tiles that were the Kraken on top and inside. So you could play like you're assaulting the Kraken because for some reason it has submerged and cannot dive or something, or perhaps you're and then your Russians or allied commandos who drop in on the Kraken by...
Yeah, for those who doesn't know about it, the Kraken is...
Yeah, it's a big submarine, the one that they invade Babylon with, or you could say they have 2 or 3 also, I think. Am I wrong now?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think something like that as well.
The Axis had this. It's like a planet. Maybe. It's like the Star Destroyer, but underwater.
That could be interesting, just having, like you said, some new tiles, so you can use with the mats or such. Just related to that, one thing that we didn't mention is that Olivier just yesterday put up a kind of a teaser image on the Facebook, very, very cryptically, which just is a big board that says Battlegrounds Verograd on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely no other information other than that. We have no idea what this is.
Okay, I did not see this. Battleground Zverograd.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It feels... You get the little bit vibe of perhaps it will be something similar for us playing Dust, that all the kill teams, perhaps, for other small unit combat.
Yeah, or
inside.
I'm thinking it could be some kind of starter box that's specific campaign with some units that are going through some kind of story campaign, something like that, perhaps.
Yeah.
So there's we have absolutely no idea what this is. That's it's just the name. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that is.
Revisiting Sverograd again.
Yeah, that would be so amazing, because those tiles were there are a lot of beautiful tiles they put out, but I feel like the underground for Sverograd was the most beautiful tiles that were produced by the studio. And I'm really irritated I never got that box, because I wanted those tiles really, really badly. All
right. Final question comes from Emil Persson, who's asking, who won the contest? The contest? You're talking about
whose contest? His contest? The Euro contest, perhaps. The Eurovision contest last year. What was
No, of course. It's the Army Box giveaway. So, let's talk about that. Yes, we do have some winners.
Yeah.
But I think first off, before we announce the big winners, maybe we should go for some bonus kind of extra.
Yeah,
because
first off, I want to say I was just amazed how many contributions we got.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the interest.
I wish we had, like, I don't know, a few hundred of these boxes. We could give one to each and every one.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to give 100 boxes, but at least 10 I would love easily to give away. Just to make
Yeah, absolutely. And it was super hard to kind of come to a conclusion. To find who we're going to send this to. This was, wow, yeah.
So and if I just cut in again, this is a specialty for me this episode apparently. We haven't mentioned something very important with this episode, which is also why it's so good that it's the contest episode, because this is actually some anniversaries we're celebrating today.
It's actually, that's actually true. So first of all, it's the 25th episode. So that in itself is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And since last episode, the podcast has actually turned 2 years old.
Wow.
Seriously, Johannes, when you started this, did you ever thought you would get to 25? Sorry. I choked myself. But...
No, probably not. but well, some things just grow out of hand, I guess. So now we have a toddler on our hands here.
Yeah. So this is wonderful, and we can never stop telling you how amazingly fun it is for you that you let us be a part of it. I mean, I was so happy when you started the pod because we thought it was needed. We had a few stray pod examples around the world, but you really, from the get-go, just took it and ran with it. And when you let us be part of it, it's just fucking awesome. I mean, at least for me.
For me too, definitely. It's been awesome, so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of this crazy journey. It's helped a lot, I think. So. With all
thank you to all the listeners as well.
Definitely.
Without all you guys, this would be kind of pointless.
And that's basically that's when we go all the way back this tangent to the contest, because that's one of the ways we try to give back to our listeners and to the community at large out there. So with all those wonderful submissions, we felt that we could not just give away those 2 boxes. It was just too many good entries, so we just felt like we have to give some extra bonus things away as well. So we have picked a few people who are going to get Dust War Journal coffee mugs.
Yeah, I should start by presenting them. So could I just to me, for one, Michael Sabkar had to have some, and he had to have something for his words on I should win an army box because Allies rules, Axis rules, SSU peace in the pool. But if I got to build another army, it's got to be Axis. They're just too darn cool looking. Did I forget to mention how deviously handsome you both are? you sound tall on the radio. And I mean, yeah, I'm tall right now, Michael.
Yeah, flattery gets you everywhere.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, I'm just wondering which two of us he thinks sounds handsome.
I'm not sure. Let's not ask, okay?
No. And of course, Michael, if you were to drink whiskey out of the cup instead of coffee, it's just fine by us, I promise.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And another of those entries that we kind of felt a little for was Adam Hendrick.
Yeah.
Who wrote, I should win an army box because I have an angry wife, a pretty decent 2-year-old boy, and a newborn that hasn't stopped crying for 2 months. I could really use something positive. So we hope you are going to enjoy the mug and get something positive in that.
At least you can get a nice cup of coffee and a nice mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and we will also give a mug to Ivan Derricks. I'm not sure about if I pronounced the name right, but anyways. And, let's see if my computer can...
Find the text.
Find the text.
Yep.
Obviously not.
No, you can... You want it from mine?
Oh, hang on.
All right, you got it?
I got it.
Just gotta be
yeah, so Ivan writes, thank you for all the hard work you do for the Dust community. The ones who deserves to win this box the most is you. But of course there are rules, so you should give it to me, so I can put it up in a shrine in my village, and all the people will come to worship you there, as you are gods in the Dust universe. Perhaps not as good looking as Cthulhu, but still a god nonetheless.
Yeah.
Like we said, flattering goes a long way. You will not get the army box, sorry, but you will get a nice coffee mug.
And perhaps build a shrine out of that. You're absolutely up to you.
Yeah, you can probably hold a candle in it. It would probably work as well. But just then also to let you know that we are not only susceptible to flattery, we also like it when we get it the other way around, I should say, because the last coffee mug we would like to give to Xavier Decius, and that's a super cool name for first, and he writes, if I don't, I will ask my big friend Cthulhu to come visit you. You won't be able to dream without screaming in the night, scratching your head until bleeding, and after a few days you'll ask me to take the 2 army boxes, and not only 1. So, as I am a friendly person, I would prefer to avoid you all these unpleasantness. And of course, that has to get you something, and we're a little bit scared. I mean, Xavier Decius, if I pronounce it right, it sounds like he actually could be a Cthulhu follower. It's just so cool, super cool.
So we're kind of hoping that it will be enough to send him a coffee mug.
Yeah, we can perhaps sacrifice some blood in it as well. So if it or something, put some tentacles or something we find in the apartment, then send it. I don't know.
All right, so now for the big giveaways. So first off, we have the Andak Army box. And this one goes to Maggie Mosini from Canada. Congratulations. And Maggie writes, I should win an army box because I really want to start playing Dust with my friends, but I can't afford it. I'm a single mom and my son has special needs, so I don't have the money and I love the game, but only to gets to watch others play until I can get an army of my own. So here you go. Here's an army of your own on the way to you. So congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well-worthy winner. So
I mean, Dust is family. So I hope you will have a lot of fun with this and play with your friends and family. Okay, and the final one, the Spetsnaz army box, will go to Georgina Cueva from Bulgaria.
Congratulations!
And she writes, I want to surprise my husband with this set. Well, basically, I don't know if this is going to be a surprise to your husband now, but anyways.
Don't listen.
We spoiled it.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. She writes that SSU is the smallest army that he has, and he's the biggest fan that she knows of the Dust games. He's making everything possible to make the game famous in their country, and he's even organizing the first Bulgarian Dust tournament next year. At the moment, there are no stores in their town that sells dust, so her husband has to work hard around Europe to find stuff, and she votes for him, and hopefully he will be able to do something cool with it. So yeah, here you go, give this to your husband and he can spread the dust love in Bulgaria.
And if you organize a tournament in Bulgaria next year, we will be there.
Yeah,
well, that's not a promise, by the way. that's hopefully we'll be there.
Yeah, take it as a threat, take it as a promise, take it as anything, whatever. If it makes you more creative.
But let us know. But let us know, definitely.
Please.
And we can spread the word.
Yeah.
So congratulations again. Right. That was exciting.
Oh, very, very.
I hope we can do this again sometime.
Definitely. This is one of
and
the
a big
really...
shout out again to Dust Studio and Paolo because this is sponsored by them.
Yep.
So this has been awesome, and the response we've had from the community is just amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, very much.
And I seriously don't think anyone is mixing it up, but just making it make people understand that we are extremely enjoying the Dust Studio work. We love all the beautiful work we do with them, but we are a separate entity. We have nothing, legally to do with the studio, and they can do whatever they want to us.
Yeah, we kind of saw that with some of the entries, that people thought that we were somehow involved, and they said this is, call it your game, and it's not our game. We're just fans.
Yeah. I love it if people were to perceive it that it's our game. My ego can take that every day of the week, but just to make that.
Some people seem to actually believe that we are professionals. Can you imagine?
Yeah, well, I like the God part, but the professional thing, well,
no, that's too much.
Yeah, that's too much,
All right, let's round off this episode with some tournament talk.
Oh yeah.
So we had the 8th Gothenburg Days of Dust recently, which you, Ludde, was the arranger of.
Yeah.
It was. I would say it was a really, really cool tournament.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was very different and was refreshing and very, very fun.
Absolutely, and we had one of the completely brand new guys, basically, Johannes, the other Swedish Johannes.
Yeah, there's actually two.
Exactly. And he came and he saw and he was victorious.
Yeah. We actually have a small interview recorded with him that I'm going to play right now. So we're here right after GDD, after quite an intensive day of gaming, and I'm here with a guest. Would you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
My name's Johannes Christensen. I'm from Varberg, and I'm pretty new to Dust.
Yeah, and this was your first tournament, even if it was a small one.
Yes, it's actually my second, third, and fourth game in total. So I'm pretty new.
Yeah, but still you did quite well.
Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, I would say that you did really well.
I say I did way beyond expectations.
Yeah. Well, not to beat around the bush, you won the tournament.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So big congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It feels pretty nice to play 4 matches and be undefeated.
Yeah.
It's 100% win rate.
Yeah. So go out on top for me, or
no, I think I'm going to continue.
Oh yeah. So beat the odds.
Give you other guys a chance.
Yeah. That's very humble of you. Thank you.
I try to be.
Yeah, so would you mind explaining a bit about the army you've been playing?
I've been playing a US SSU army with 3 KV-47s. A Koshka with Grandma, Nadia, and Natalia, I think it was. Yeah. Yes. Red Guard, anti-tank squad, and a Red Army close combat squad.
Yeah, and it should be noted that this was a 50-point tournament, and that's basically the army you have at the moment. That's the units.
Everything I have.
Yeah,
and I
for the
bought
SSU.
2 of the KVs 47s today.
Yeah.
So it's what I have, and I have a few about 35 points of Americans.
Yeah.
And
now 1 Axis unit.
And 1 Axis unit. Thanks to the tour today.
Yeah. So, is there any specific reason why you gravitated toward the SSU in the beginning, or?
When it came to start playing the game, my first and only option was buying a 2-player starter set, because I have no friends in my town that play the game. I don't think there's anybody in my town except me that play the game. So yet. So to get friends into it, I needed a 2-player starter kit, and the only thing I could get for a reasonable price was the Allied SSU 2-player starter sets, Battle for Stalingrad. And I thought the SSU Walker was way cooler than the American one, so...
Yeah, we kind of had that discussion before the tournament that most people don't seem to agree on if the standard, like the Mickey, if that's a cool chassis or not.
I think
it's very...
Most think it's pretty funny looking.
Yeah.
Because it's a tank with legs.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
It's a tank with legs.
But I kind of like that, because it shows... Just that's what they had to work with, and it just turned out that way.
Use what you have.
Yeah, basically.
And you have a good chassis, why throw it away?
Yeah.
So there's something cool about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things I also enjoy about the game. That each unit or each vehicle, it tells a story. You can see the kind of thought process and design process behind it, and it's just lovely to see that kind of attention to detail, and just the difference in design style between the different blocks. That's very, very nice. You can see directly on someone's table which block they're playing. Very, very simply. So I agree with you there. So you think you're going to still play and try to recruit some more players in your town?
I got a few friends they don't have an option. They're going to play.
Yeah, that's good.
They're big gamers, just like me, not necessarily can afford the biggest army to start with. So having 2 armies to start is pretty good. So I can just
absolutely. And when you just get started playing games of the size that we've done today, about 50 points and on 1 9x6 grid mat, that's a really good way to get started. I mean, I played a lot of tournament games now for the years that I've been playing, and I don't think that this is kind of limiting in any way. This is still a very tactical and very fun way to play the game, I would say.
And it doesn't have to necessarily take forever to play one game. So that's really good.
Yeah. So that's a very good way to just get going, get a lot of games out there and get people interested in playing it. So, I think we're...
Big thanks to you guys to host this thing.
Yeah.
It feels... it's good to have some place close to home where I can go and have a day like this. Yeah, and we hope there's going to be a lot more of that in the future, both here and otherwise. And the same goes for everyone out there listening as well. So thank you very much, Jonas. And I'm sure we're going to see and hear from you in the future. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you. And as you heard, Johannes won the entire tournament, which is interesting because he only played one game before. So, and for some reason, it seems that new players usually do very well in our tournaments. Yeah, I don't think that's something that we are trying to get new players to win because then they go. I don't think it's kind of that thing, but it usually happens. It's very interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we've seen this not only in our tournaments actually, but it's like when players do things differently. Yeah. Then they surprise people. They show up and they have either a completely different army, something we haven't seen before, or they play their army completely differently. Definitely. So, yeah. Yeah, and they kind of have to evolve our way of thinking, and it's really, really cool to see. Yeah. Even when it's a game that
could feel like it's, well, oh, I know this. I know how I'm going to, and then something new happens. And that's a really good feeling.
And that's also why I love when some people try to do something new with the tournaments. And also my my personal mission with the tournament we had was like, okay, we've done certain things quite a lot now. Let's try something a little bit different. So we tried to downscale it. We played on only one mat, and we only had 50 points. And it was like, some restrictions for vehicles, only vehicle up to 4, and no superheroes, no flyers, because of course only one mat and a few points that can tip the balance. You have to have a little bit more. And I'm not saying this is the way one should only play the game. It's just that it felt like it was a good way of trying something different. So that was my goal with it. And and it felt like it was not, no games were quicker resolved than others. There were games that really drew out because you were hiding behind pillars and you were shooting on each other behind trees and stuff like that. So, and you still played for the objective points in ways that made the game really. I mean, I remember when Johannes, when your game, you were taking crates, and it was the one that captured more crates with goods in them won the game, and you guys like had 15 or 30 crates in, even though you have 4 or 5 units each. I don't know how you did it. On another table, I think it was your table.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it one crate that hardly moved, or perhaps moved a square or something like that?
Yeah, that was just battling for each and every square basically, and I just managed to get one more crate, so I kind of had the upper hand, and I was just keeping that position, making sure that okay, if he gets something, I will get one more. If he gets one, I will get one more.
And that was so interesting about most of those games, even with just 50 points. It always felt like that kind of back and forth. Oh, now I have the advantage and I can press. Oh, now he's pushing back, and now he has the advantage, and now I can turn it around. And it just felt like, it never felt like one player had just that snowball effect.
No.
That you just take out one or two units, and then they just
felt like bigger games actually.
Yeah. So that was very interesting.
Maybe the one exception to that interesting play was my last game, and I played really badly. I was tired and very unfocused, so I just got my ass handed to me basically, and then it was over very quickly. But still, I learned a lot from that game as well. So
good.
So that was a really fun little tournament. We have another tournament coming up, also locally.
A bigger one.
Yeah, a bigger one in Uddevalla. The Uddevalla Days of Dust #2. And this is going to be 13th and 14th of October, so in just a few short weeks' time.
Yeah, it will decide the whole town of Uddevalla how it will be. I'm really looking forward when Ulf and Jonathan will go out on the streets and then split the town in real life afterwards and put up signs, and this is now... Or I wouldn't put it past them. I could see both of them just drawing lines and stuff.
So this street now belongs to the SSU.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Yeah, that could be fun. They have this kind of campaign setting in mind for this tournament.
Yeah, this one is very different and sounds very interesting. They have a particular number of players for each block, and it's basically a sort of attacker and defender tournament, the attacker and defender event. It's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm really frustrating. I still haven't been able to solve it. I thought it was in the bag, but a lot of things have gone not my way because I have to have my daughter on that weekend, so I'm really irritated. It's not solving itself, so perhaps I will have to miss it, but I keep a faint hope that I will still... Because this is, as you say, it's so different. I really, really want to play it. But, well, we will have to wait and see.
And then, of course, we have the German Masters in November, the 17th and 18th, to be more specific. And there's, unfortunately, not that much more information at the moment. But registry is open. You can sign up and you can make travel plans and book hotels, whatever you need to do. I've already done my kind of planning and booking, so I'm definitely going to be there if nothing catastrophic happens.
And it's in Berlin this time?
In Berlin, yeah, this year, at a gaming shop called Battlefield Berlin.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm feeling such a bad sport right now because the weekend before that I had planned and I had booked tickets for taking my family to London and going to the Harry Potter tour and stuff like that because I promised my daughter and my girlfriend and stuff. So I guess I won't be able to do this this year because there won't be any money after that trip. It's just the next weekend. But perhaps I'll be lucky. I'll win some money on some, I don't know, lottery or something. Then I'll definitely go. Since it's in Berlin, it's still, you can still find like crazy ass cheap tickets for just flying over the weekend and then sleeping on a bench outside in a park or something. I don't mind.
I'm going to like common room in a hostel with like 6 beds. So just going for the cheap, simple way to go. So it's going to be fun.
We'll take a look at it. I haven't really checked it out yet, so I will take a look and see if I'm able to go there. I can't really say either or.
No.
And then, of course, as usual, we have to plug for Dust Nordic 2019 also in April 13th and 14th in Gothenburg, Sweden. So that's the tournament that we are organizing. No, not specifically all of us, but I am definitely one of the organizers, together with our fellow Viking Mats.
Yes.
So we have put up some more information since last time on the dustnordic.com page. We still haven't really finalized all the details about army size and number of mats, stuff like that. But we're getting there, and hopefully we're going to get all those kind of stuff at least before Christmas going to be finalized, so people can sign up.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right. So I think that's it for this episode.
Should we mention something about... about extra bonus episode coming up?
Well, there is some kind of preview thing that I talked to Paolo about that we might want to talk a little bit about in a special
I'm just
episode,
getting a tremble here right now. I feel like the earth is moving and something. It's like something is
like I don't know, some kind of gate opening.
Yeah, I feel creaking. I hear creaking. I see smoke over there. I'm getting a little bit terrified.
I think we should go and check that out.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we'll see you on the battlefield in the next special episode. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.